lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to Now Slain, an It Slays podcast production where we break down the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Hi, it's Jill.
And we're here to talk about mother-in-laws. That's right, we're talking about The Front Room that was released September 6th, 2024. So before we get into that, Jill, did you know about The Front Room before it was coming out? Were you excited for it? Let us know.
Yeah, actually, I knew about it because I saw it in trailers, and I was like, that looks kind of bad, but also it looks kind of good. Also, Brandy is like back. And I'm here for it. I'm here for Brandy and horror. So yeah, I've been waiting to see this one, but then I forgot about it until you brought it up. So yeah, thanks for making me watch it. What about you, Rowan?
Yeah, I'm always, curious. An A24 horror movie. I knew that the Egger brothers were working on something. This is the two least famous Egger brothers. There's three of them.
Aw.
So,
Feels bad.
The famous one's a little busy getting ready to launch Nosferatu at the end of the year.
Yeah, legend.
But I can't remember if we talked about this at the beginning of the year when we were talking about everything coming out. But yeah, I didn't have it in my cards that I was gonna, in the span of 3 weeks, watch 2 new movies that starred Brandy in it. That was something.
What's the other one?
She's one of the stars of the Descendants movie I watched with the kid. Yeah. So
that is so funny.
She reprises her role as Cinderella from the 97 movie.
Oh,
in that.
That's rad.
So yeah, Brandy just making a comeback apparently. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's a curious. I don't know if I was looking forward to, but very curious about it.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to talking about this, let's get into the trailer.
I can't practice my face. Not like I used to.
You're a racist.
You don't know what real racism is.
You're gonna tell me?
Have I offended you?
Holy shit. Your stepmother is literally evil.
Do you fear the Lord?
No.
Fear me.
She said that you hit her.
She wants you to think it was me. She wants to replace me. I am her mother.
Oh, no, yeah. Hey. Oh, no, yeah.
This is my house. Being cooped up with a newborn and a mother-in-law can drive anyone crazy.
Help me, Belinda.
The Front Room is directed and written by Max Eggers and Sam Eggers, and the synopsis is as follows. Everything goes to hell for newly pregnant Belinda after her mother-in-law moves in. As the diabolical guest tries to get her claws on the child, Belinda must draw the line somewhere. So here on Now Slain, we like to start with the spoiler-free section first. Jill, what are some initial spoiler-free thoughts you had about The Front Room?
Well, I'm just going to start off by talking about my experience. So I went to go see this as a double feature with Beetlejuice right after. And I went to the theater. It was just me until the movie started and another lady came in. So it was just 2 of us in this theater. And it was great because there was no distractions. And I thought that was a really cool experience. So I was just really hunkered down to enjoy this. I thought, I won't spoil anything, but what I thought I was getting into and what I actually got into were 2 different things,
yes,
as we'll talk about in the spoiler section. But I did get very Rosemary's Baby meets Hereditary meets Get Out sort of vibes. I feel like it's a marriage of those three things because you have a pregnant lady having a baby and you got weird shit going on. So you got that. You got cultish kind of religious vibes going on. And then you have like the mother-in-law thing, a racist mother-in-law. So it's like very Get Out also. So these are all movies that I really enjoy. So I love the vibe that was kind of swirling around. I love Brandy's performance. I thought she was amazing. I thought she really carried this movie. The most shocking thing in this movie is honestly Catherine Hunter, who plays the mother-in-law, the stepmother-in-law named Solange, which I think is really funny because I was expecting not a little white lady with that name. And they didn't address it ever. But Catherine Hunter plays Mrs. Fig, or Miss Fig in Harry Potter, like the movies. And I did not recognize her. She is hilarious. I don't know if you'll feel the same, but I thought it was wackadoodle, batshit crazy, but really, really funny. And I don't know, man. I just love weird little Catherine Hunter playing a weird little racist baby. It didn't end where I thought it was going to, but I feel like a lot of A24 stuff kind of does that, and then people kind of hate it. Like Spring Breakers back in the day when that came out, and then everyone was like, what is this? I feel like this is one of those movies where you go in expecting one thing, like kind of this horror movie, and you get kind of like a black comedy in return. But what did you think?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the best way I've heard it explained, because yeah, going into this from seeing the trailers, I was expecting, like, I was like, okay, we're gonna get, like, exactly like you said, this mixture of, like, Get Out, Rosemary's Baby, you know, they're definitely, like, doing a lot of stuff with, like, you know, like Christian imagery and things like that in the trailer. And then I was like, obviously, the trailer also hints that, you know, there's like some weird, like, racism going on. You're not really sure. And then I'll say it was just it was like kind of a weird watching experience for me, because I really came out of this almost having the conversation with myself of, is this actually a horror movie? I mean, lots of things going on in this film are horrific, especially, you know, you'd never want to deal with your mother-in-law in any of these ways.
Yeah.
But I was like, I felt like even when the movie was like creeping into something very Rosemary Baby-ish, like it would never fully go there. They kind of back off. And that's where, you know, I never really thought of it. But yeah, I think almost a black comedy is a better description of it. Just because they kind of avoid ever really dipping their toes heavy into it being a horror movie.
Yeah, that's weird too, because there's a lot of kind of supernatural things that appear to be going on.
Yeah.
But in the end, like, nothing is explained. Like, it doesn't appear to be any supernatural stuff going on. So like you said, yeah, there's no payout. They're just like dipping their toes into these different tropes, and then they're like, oh, well, we're done now.
Yeah.
But that was funny. That was a funny little experience we just had.
Like I said, it was just, it was bizarre. And, you know, I'll probably end up, you know, when it comes out or something, having to see it again. You know, this is one of those episodes I've got to, like, vent, like, possibly, I think it's hands down the worst watching experience of my life in the theater.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was, there was a few people in there, they're all like our age around there. And then in the back row, there was just like 6, I don't know, like 12 to 14-year-olds. And from the trailers to the literal end of the movie, they talked the entire time. They didn't, like, once stop talking. So I was watching this movie while also fully hearing, like there was no whispering. They were just talking in a normal tone voice like this about like random shit, just like people dating people, and they were obviously on their phone, and they're like, oh, look at this, like these guys, you know, I was like basically getting a whole life story of these guys' friend circle. It just really distracting when I'm trying to like focus on this. Like if there any tension that this film's trying to build is kind of broken by someone talking. Also didn't help, they just kept turning their flashlights on their phone and just like flashing it around the theater for no apparent reason other than just to bug people, I guess.
No one said anything? They
didn't till the very end. There was a guy that was sitting behind me that was there with his partner, and thank God to him, he sat up, the movie finished, lights came on, and he just stood up, turned around, looked at them all because they were still in their seats, and he just said, like, told them to shut the fuck up, and then he also informed them that he wishes all their parents had considered abortions.
Oh my
and
God.
Then he was irate enough that like his girlfriend was like holding him back, and then he just like walked out after he dropped the abortion line, and that was worth the price of admission right there.
There's your entertainment. So you
funny.
also got that. Yeah. I really wish that theaters would come up with some kind of system. Ever since COVID, I feel like it's gotten really bad. Like people just can't be quiet and just ruin the whole experience for everybody else. And I'm a huge Karen when it comes to that stuff. Like I tell people, like I'll shush people. I'll tell them to stop talking. And sometimes I'm like in the movie, I can't even focus. I'm like fantasizing about going to go get an employee and like kicking these people out. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a whole big conversation, but I feel like, I think COVID didn't help because then people are used to like watching new movies in their house where they can do whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's just them, and then they've brought that, and then I don't know, now I just sound like an old guy, yelling at clouds. Like,
yeah, it's us world.
I think it's what movies, how they're framed in the current culture. Like, I think we grew up when, like, movies were, like, that's what you had to do, essentially. Like, it was a big thing when you went and saw any movie, whether it was good or bad. And now, people have hundreds of movies at their fingertips. So, like, going to theater isn't really a big event or anything.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never thought about that.
So I just think with the younger generation, it's just, like, it's not that big of a deal. Because it's like, oh, well, if I bug someone, like, whatever, they can watch it on streaming in 2 months. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, we're just venting now. Back to the movie. I 100% agree. Catherine Hunter, like, fantastic in this. I don't know anything about Harry Potter, so I'm not, like, super familiar with her, but...
Can I tell you her character real quick? So she's, like, Harry Potter's, like, secret spy wizard neighbor, and she's this little old lady with a lot of cats, and she always smells like cabbage. Her name is Mrs. Fig. So it's hilarious to me that she's still a little old lady. I don't know if she smells like cabbage, but I don't think she has great hygiene. Sorry, continue.
She, like, this is like a really great, like, really, really great performance from her, like, as kind of the villain of this movie. Just a nightmare. Like, literally all you can think of watching this is just like, this is a nightmare if this ever happened to me. And I thought also Brandy gave a pretty good performance. Like, she didn't go too over the top, which is what I was kind of worried about. And I thought, like, her reactions were, like, very realistic, where, like, you're trying to keep it together.
Very demure.
Yeah. Because, this is your mother-in-law and you're, you're trying to keep it together, but it's very, very, hard. And then, like, I will say, without getting into any much of it, is that I was just surprised coming out of this because, like we said, like, I kind of got a sense there was going to be some sort of, like, Get Out thing, or there was going to be, like, a little bit of, like, social commentary mixed in with the black comedy. And then this thing just, like, kind of ends and it's like a nothing burger. Like, they're not really saying anything. Even, like, all the, like, racial tension and stuff, it's just like the horror stuff. Like, they bring it up, but they kind of, like, pull back from it the minute they start to get into it. Now, I don't know, maybe that is because it is kind of weird that it's like two white guys that write this. Yeah. And, like, so maybe they knew, like, if we really got into this, it would, people in 2024 probably would not accept that we wrote, like, this thing about this black woman's experience with a racist mother-in-law. So, like, I think that just kind of caught me off guard.
Okay, I have two things about this. The first thing, them needing to pay off because they're building all of these, like, little tensions and kind of hinting at supernatural things. And I think it could have been a really great, like, A24 movie, like, kind of revered-ish, like, on some level, like their brother, who is really good at paying off. The witch, that, like, witch's Sabbath scene at the end and all that kind of stuff, like, they really needed to go there and commit eventually. But they didn't. They just don't address everything. And maybe that's part of what they're trying to say. Maybe they're trying to be like, well, like you're kind of talking about, is it a horror movie, really? Or is it like some kind of thriller / black comedy? Maybe they're trying to be like, you know what, this is life. Things might seem supernatural, seem like you're going crazy. But in the end, we're just people and you got a crazy mother-in-law. And, yep. That's the horror of it. That's the nightmare of it. So maybe that's what they're trying to say. But I feel like if they did fully commit to those undertones of having, like, this cult, like, hereditary thing going on, and possessed babies and all this kind of stuff, I feel like it could have been a really great horror movie.
I guess I can say this in the spoiler-free section, because, like I said, it was in the trailer. It's the whole premise. So, like, obviously they're, like, taking care of this, like, elderly lady that is Brandy's partner's mother. And, yeah, I just feel like there was, like, so much stuff they were digging at. Like, I said there's a lot of Christian imagery. Like, they're going heavy in the, like, religion stuff in this also, a la, Rosemary's Baby. And, there's, like, almost this, like, cultish feeling going on. Yeah, it's just, like, it's like I said, it's just, like, a bizarre film that, I feel like it's got all these things that I'm really into, that I really like, and I'm just kind of, like, waiting for a payoff. And, I don't know necessarily if that ever comes. So what I'm going to do, if you have more spoiler-free stuff, go ahead and we can talk about it. I'm going to say right now, to me, I probably wouldn't recommend seeing this in the theater. I think you could probably wait to streaming. I'm not recommending it because some kids are going to talk and ruin your time.
Right.
But, like, I just, even without that bad experience in the theater, like, I don't know. I was just kind of like, I can see what's going on, but yeah, I don't think I would recommend this. What about you?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough question because we are entering spooky season right now. There is a lot of stuff to see, a lot of good stuff, a lot of must-sees in theater, like the Beetlejuice experience. However, at the same time, a lot of people are going to be watching Beetlejuice. So if you go to a matinee, you might luck out like me and get an empty theater. Or you might, you're playing roulette. You might get Rowan's teen or pre-adolescent crowd. So really, it's up to you. Like, do you have that time to go to the theater right now and see it? If so, I highly recommend it. If not, just wait for it to stream. But either way, I recommend watching it eventually because I think it's a really good time. Like, once you buckle down and realize that this is just a wild ride and you just gotta go with it, it's funny and it's entertaining. But before I got to that point, I saw this like iconic like goddess imagery, religious imagery, and I thought there was gonna be things eventually paying off that weren't there. Like, maybe they were hinting at like some subliminal kind of messages here and there, but like there's nothing in the end that kind of connects it. So yeah, recommend if you have the time. If not, watch it anyways when it comes to streaming.
I will say to me, it almost seemed like, I don't know if this got pushed back or something, but to me, like a prime release time for this would have been like beginning of summer or something. It felt like a summer movie or something to me. Like, it didn't really give me like fall, like September back to school vibes. But I think, so a recommend and a not recommend from us. And with that, let's cut over to the spoiler discussion. So we are now in the spoiler section. If you haven't watched the film yet, turn this off, go see it, and then come back, or keep listening if you simply don't care. Jill, there's a lot of poop in this. There's a lot of poop going on in this.
There's a lot of poop. There's a lot of pee. Yeah. Things I did not expect.
The poop and the pee are very shocking when it happens if you're not expecting it, which I did not. This old lady, Solange, is just doing every and anything to get under Belinda's skin, and they're assuming she's like ready for the home, like she's basically out of it, wanting to live the end of her life, and she obviously has some vigor and is just fucking with Belinda.
Well, it's Belinda,
the hard Belinda. I thought it was funny, like it got some laughs out of me, and I get like we've got to repeat it because you got to see like how they clean her up and then she's pretty much she'll shit herself again just so it's to get them going. But like I almost felt like the entire film just relied on it way too much, because I was like, okay, she's doing this maliciously, it's not an accident, it's on purpose. But I was just like, I kind of got the point after a while where they just like keep coming back to it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I just kind of felt like, do you guys have any other idea? Then I was worried because I was like, this almost seems like that was the idea. And then they just broke it out from there.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, wow, like what else do we got? And I mean, we get some stuff of her like having her, what they call it, like prayer group over or whatever and stuff like that. But, I just felt they could have done like more like with her like maliciousness.
Yeah, I agree. It was a MESS mess with all that poop and pee and poor Belinda having to clean it up, and Belinda's husband just being total absent piece of shit. He is not there to take care of his stepmother. He is not there for his wife, who just had a baby. And he's awful. I hated the husband. I really wanted something to come of that, and it didn't at the end. It was just like, okay, everything's okay now. We did the old, I like to call it the Othello ending with suffocation with the pillow.
I will say, because I'm not going to lie, like I'm probably, I'm going to have things to complain about with this movie, but I did love the ending where like we get the reveal that she actually smothered her and murdered her at the end.
I just didn't like that poor Belinda has to go back to her life with her husband who does not support her. It's just only concerned about his job. He was the worst. Whatever.
I mean, tough place to be in. She lost her job right when she's about to have a kid. But yes, you should be there for your partner.
Yeah, and also one of the things that confused me at the beginning was they were trying to hint that they had lost a baby.
Yeah.
Like they had lost a child. They did this through pictures. putting pictures on the wall and subtly showing it. So for some reason, I thought she already had her baby and they were like moving ahead in time.
Yeah.
But no, they had lost a baby. So that was an interesting way of storytelling as well. But like you said, they do rely a lot on the poop and the pee. They could have done a lot more things with Solange being a menace. I would have really liked some more cult stuff. I wanted it to go full Hereditary. I wanted it to go full whack-a-doodly-doo on me. And it kind of just like snapped back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I could have done with like some full out cult Rosemary Baby stuff, because they really do hint heavy at it. Obviously, like when we meet the pastor from her old church, like there's kind of a weird vibe, and you kind of find out that he's like indebted to Solange and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, maybe all these people that are part of her prayer group like are indebted to her in some way, and like something's happened so that they have to, you know, kind of do what she needs, and you know, maybe this baby's gonna come out, it's gonna be like the Antichrist, I don't know, like something's gonna happen. And who knows, maybe just cause I'm in a year where I've seen Immaculate and The First Omen, and maybe I just have that stuff on my mind. But like you said, yeah, it just kind of like snaps back to like, oh, we're showing you these things, but you know what it is? It's just like Belinda's kind of like almost hallucinating. Like she's just she's just like so filled with frustration and anxiety and stuff that she's like going a little crazy. And I was like, that's kind of a little letdown. And then I also say like a lot of this is my main complaint with the film, because like you said, them having a kid that passed, I didn't think it was made clear enough till they like basically say that. But it's like a thread that, like, to me, there's a lot you can dig up there. There's a lot Solange could do to like bring up that trauma.
Oh yeah.
But like they just kind of like ignore it. They're like, oh yeah, this is here, that you like, the only real issue it causes is that, you know, Solange doesn't want to sleep up there or whatever. And then like, but they do this also, I find, like with the beginning with Belinda getting fired and stuff. And it's just like, I get you need that to push the narrative, but I was like, you know, I don't know these guys' financial situation. I don't know like really how they interact. Even when he's being like aloof and checked out, I'm like, is this how he normally is? Is this like just cause she's moved in? Like, I just found they never overly explained the kind of the background you need on these characters. They just kind of drop you in and then say, here you go. But to me, like, I can't feel fully invested in Belinda's frustration without like knowing some more about them. And it just like the movie never gives that. And I get like the movie's pretty quick in and out. Like, it's not a super long movie. I mean, unfortunately for me, I just felt like those parts didn't, you know, work.
One thing I really liked was like that she was this professor of like anthropology, or I don't know, something with like this goddess imagery and all this stuff. And I really wanted more of that, and I wanted it to be more significant in the movie.
Yeah.
Because you have Solange messing with her stuff, like taking down her statues and putting her necklace around her goddess statues and things like that. I guess it's like there, but it's very subliminal, but I would have liked more to come out of that. And you also have Solange like gaslighting her because she's like making her crazy and then question what's real or not. But yeah, just wanted more.
Maybe one of the issues is like, to me, it's just when I go in, especially like where I know it's A24, it's like I'm kind of expecting like these deep layers and like all this kind of stuff. And I mean, that's an unreal expectation. Like they should be allowed to put out, you know, just fodder also. But yeah, I think I just kind of had high hopes for this. And it's kind of like, you know, like there's a lot of like I said, there's all these references to racism stuff. We find out Solange has got like Confederate papers and that, you know, like she has family connections or like I forget what they said, father or grandfather was like a wizard in the Ku Klux Klan and all this stuff. Which, like,
oh my God, sorry. You just reminded me of the scene where she takes the napkin and puts it over her head.
Yes, which is wild. And that's where, like, you know, the whole theater I was in, like, was laughing. Getting the response I'm sure they wanted you to get, like, what the fuck is this old lady doing?
Yeah.
But it's like everything else. Like, they kind of get it. You see, like, you know, Belinda just really being, like, upset and frustrated, but trying to keep it together. Because it's her mother-in-law, and, like, you know, like we said, like, they assume, like, she's old, she's kind of slipping, that kind of thing. But like everything else, they just kind of, like, back away from all that every time it kind of goes into that. And to me, like, that was just frustrating because, like I said, I was like, I want to see them, like, really confront this or, like, really turn this into, like, you know, this, like, horror or, you know, horror show, really. And I just felt like these bad things continued to happen, but then, like, eventually they deal with it, and, like, Solange would, like, go to bed or something, and, like, I was like, okay, so, like, none of, like, you know, no pun intended, but, like, as shitty as some of these things get, they usually deal with it and then restart the day. Like, they sleep, restart the day, where I was like, I don't know, like, maybe, you know, there should be all sleepless nights. Like, she's dealing with a baby, all this kind of stuff. I just wanted to see more tension and more chaos that this would have caused, rather than pretty much, like I continue to say, just relying on, like, you know, every time they kind of run out of stuff to do, it's like, oh, well, she'll shit herself, and then that'll make everyone be like, ah.
Yeah. Pretty much. I wanted to compare Solange. She was very reminiscent of, I don't know if you ever saw the show All That.
No.
Nickelodeon show, which also we have a Nickelodeon shout out in this movie when they're talking about, I don't even know the husband's name. He's not even important. So the husband grew up on VeggieTales because of, like, his religious upbringing. Shout out to Colton.
I was gonna say, I didn't know
Colton's
Colton was in
homeboy.
this show.
Yeah. But in All That, Jamie Lynn Spears, so Britney Spears' little sister, played this little old grandma lady, and she sounded and acted and looked just like Solange. So I need to know, Eggers Brothers, like, is this somewhat based on the Jamie Lynn Spears old lady and All That? Burning question.
Yeah, I don't get the reference, but I'll have to look it up now and see.
I'll show you later. Another thing, Solange, member of the Daughters of Confederacy, whatever, also a member of the Bad Wig Club.
Yes.
Literally, she's wearing a wig.
Yeah, 100%. It's a shame Mike wasn't on this so we could get the full wig review. But yeah, and I mean, I thought it was funny because, you know, it gives her, like, you know, this kind, and this is where, I don't know, maybe it's my younger influence of, you know, like, Roald Dahl, the Witches movie. I'm like, oh, okay, like, so she's gonna be, like, some sort of witch or something, and, like, she's got this wig, and she's actually bald, and, you know, this is, like, kind of, like, old school witch imagery.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's just to make her look bizarre.
We were really just wanting the witch vibes, and we got, nope, she's just bald.
Yeah.
But biggest jump scare in the movie, I think, is that scene where she's in the bathtub and she's, like, hunched over and all shriveled up and naked, and she's got, like, spots, and it looks like her head, like her bald head looks, I don't know, it looks painful to me. Like, it looks like it has, like, splotches all over it. But yeah, that was scary, actually.
Like I said, like, Catherine Hunter does such a good job. Like, just Solange's, like, menacing grin when, you know, when the partner's, like, carrying her to clean her up and she's just staring at Belinda smiling, and like the crying and the stopping. Although, like, I wasn't convinced. I'm like, some of this stuff the partner was around, like, the entire time, and I'm like, so he should be able to tell that, like, she, you know, there's something going on. She's, like, faking some of this. Now I get they try to build up that he has all this, like, trauma with her, and which was another thread I thought wasn't really explored. Like, they basically use that so that he doesn't have to be in the movie for most of the time.
The most like egregious thread to me was when was this a dream? She wakes up in the middle of the night and she finds him like latched on to his stepmother. Sucking milk. That was a dream?
Yeah, it was a dream sequence.
Okay, I thought that was real. And I was like, we never addressed this any further.
Yeah,
but
no, that was the dream
to,
sequence.
Okay. Because it kind of felt like he was under her spell a little bit, like the same way that the baby was. So yeah, I really expected something to come out of that. That didn't.
Well, and he sets it up. He explains in the beginning, like, this is what she did to me. You know, you can see he's getting anxious, and obviously when she first comes, like, his anxiety and stuff. But yeah, I was like, to me, I was like, okay, this literally is just a plot device because he's going to be absent most of this movie. That's what they end up using it as. Like, he's always at work. He's trying to avoid being there. But I was like, I want to see him too. I want to see, like, what kind of rift and, you know, issues it's causing between the two of them. Because that's the other issue is we do get a couple scenes where Belinda's like, oh, you got to help me and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't think there was enough of that, of, like, their relationship and how it was affecting. I thought they could have done, like, more on that would have, like, risen the stakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, big miss on, I don't know if the Agger brothers have like a microphone in my house or something, or just listening to me, but repeatedly all the time, I always have a conversation with Exilia. We talk about like songs that are like scary. They're not meant to be scary, but it's just like, oh, if you sang them creepy, or like they're just creepy in general. And I have always said, because Exilia always used to talk about when she was like in primary, I think just that 1 year of her life, she was like in all Christian school, and every day they would make them sing Jesus Loves Me. And I've always said, I'm like, yeah, I know that song. And I'm like, you know, like I always said, I was like, it'd be a perfect song for a horror movie because it's a creepy ass song.
Yeah.
And then he brings up that she always made him sing this song and he has this trauma about Jesus Loves Me. And I was like, boom, we're going to get this song. They never sang it. Very disappointed. But yeah, please stop stealing my ideas. That's basically the point of the story.
That is the point of the story. I think we also could have benefited from subtitles for Solange. She was so hard to understand. But it kind of made it funnier. Because it's like, that's how people talk.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. You know, it's just the Southern Belle in her, I guess. Yeah.
My favorite line, I think, in the whole movie is when they ask how the ham is, and she goes, salty. And she's just like, so
keep it
rude,
real.
so
just
blunt.
keep it real. And you know what? The
up.
partner agreed. So you know what? Belinda has got to ease up on that salt.
I mean, she's just seasoning the food.
I guess.
These white people. Also, you know, since this is a very racially charged movie written by two white men, how did you feel that it dealt with, like, the racist stuff in the movie? Did you think it was well executed? Do you think, you know, like, maybe a black person would appreciate it? Because in my theater, when I went to go see it, it was me and a black lady, and it was very quiet the whole movie. Like, I didn't hear her laugh or anything, so I was like, oh no, did she, like, not enjoy it? Or, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm just curious.
I mean, if you didn't tell me it was written by two white guys, I'd probably still know. Like, definitely, it's like I said, to me, that's what the whole, like, skirting around the issues are. And I'm not, you know, most of the time, but I'm not necessarily gonna every time be like, oh, you know, like, these two white guys, they shouldn't be allowed to write it. I mean, I'm sure there's someone that could probably get their hands around the subject area and mold it into something good. It's just, they always seemed, I think the best way to describe it to me is like they always seemed scared, like as writers and directors. Like it was like you could tell where they wanted to go. Like they just knew that they couldn't necessarily go there. So it was like, we can only do so much. In which I'm kind of just like, well, then maybe you should have picked something different to do.
Yeah. One thing, like, I know black women they don't like the stereotype of like the angry black woman, right?
Yeah.
And Belinda, having to put up with all this stuff, is very patient, dealing with everything very gracefully. There's like one moment, I think, around like one of the dinner scenes where she's like, oh, hell no, like, and that's as far as it went. I thought it was funny. Like, I thought it was like a good moment.
I do like the break of Belinda where like it gets to a point where she's like, no, like, I don't care if this is your mother. Fuck that.
But they didn't go there. Like you said, maybe they were afraid to go that like angry black woman route to get like, I don't know, criticized for going there and using that kind of stereotype. But yeah, realistically, I would have lost my damn shit at Miss Solange, so.
Oh, 100%. So if that's everything we have for this section, let's get into rating it. If you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, what are you going to give the front room?
I'm going to give the front room a yay because it was a really good time for me. I just started my day off going to the theater, sitting down. I was really into like some of the imagery, and I thought it was going to be deeper than it was, which I was excited for. So I was a little let down at the end when, the horror didn't show up. It didn't really pay off. But once you just kind of embrace the zaniness that is Catherine Hunter for the character of Solange, it is such a wild ride, and I think her and Brandy had really good chemistry together, and they're the entire movie for me. I just love Brandy. I love Catherine Hunter. I thought it was funny, and I thought it was interesting, combining a lot of things that we said we liked, just didn't totally go there. But I thought it fucking rocked. I thought it was funny. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to come in on an okay on this one. Like I said, I like a lot of the concepts. I like the general idea of it, of, everyone most people can relate to like a mother-in-law or like some family member that maybe you don't get along with. And this is like the absolute extreme of a horror show that it could be. But, with that, not necessarily a horror show, maybe a thriller show. I wanted a little more horror in this. I thought they could have done some different things, but there was too many beats that were hit too many times for me. And then, like I said, I just found the plot was a little messy. I found there was a lot of things that they just would skirt around and not really touch. And that kind of just took me out of it a little bit because I did notice that and it was a little jarring. But I think for, our first go out, this is both of these guys is, I think, kind of like first big feature film. One of the brothers helped write The Lighthouse and the other brother worked on a documentary. So this is their first film. So I think it is. I'd be interested to see what they do next. Maybe get Robert to help you out, dig in there, get a little cred there. So yeah, I'll end with an okay on that. So a yay and okay for the front room. And if you're new to the program and you're not following us on any of our social media, you can do so at It Slays Podcast. We are on X, Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, Threads, Bluesky, Letterboxd. I don't know what else I'm missing. Basically, if there's a social media, we're on it at It Slays Podcast. And Jill, why don't you let the lovely people know how they can get to the Patreon, become horror hounds?
If you want to join our squad of horror hounds, Holly, Nicholas, Patrick, Sacrotype, Joy, Dan, Brian, James, and Trevor, and get episodes of our main show 48 hours early and access to our Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams, hosted by Rowan and I, head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose the tier that works best for you. Rowan, any bangers making it to the playlist?
I'd have to look. I can't remember now. They kept playing some creepy old song. Solange kept playing it. I'd have to see
Jesus
if that
Loves
fit
Me
it.
could
Yeah,
be on the-
maybe I'll get a version of Jesus Loves Me. But go to
Hell no.
but go to Spotify. You can look up the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that I just mentioned. Go to the bio, click the Linktree link. It'll take you directly there. We upload scores or licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. So follow the playlist. We update it regularly and get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And next episode, I think what is next is Speak No Evil, the American remake. I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if me and Jill will be back for that, if Colton will be back, who knows. Have you seen the original one, Jill? The Danish
I have
one?
not.
Oh man, we might have to ruin your life and make you watch the most depressing movie ever made, Speak No
Why?
Evil. And then watch the
Why?
remake and see how bad it is.
Okay.
But
No thanks.
we'll be back. We'll see Kim Blumhouse live up to this kind of already like iconic foreign horror movie. We'll
it's by
find out.
Blumhouse?
It is.
I saw the trailers. I didn't realize it was based off of a Danish film.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So with that, we'll be back, I'm sure. As always, I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Jill.
And if you keep listening, we'll keep slaying.